Hello and welcome back to Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura. When we last left off, well, we were told here in Caledon that the dwarf we've been somewhat following throughout this whole game got his fake passport here. Yes, what is it? Hello, sir. May I ask you your name? I'm Mr. Razia. What do you want? What can you tell me about this place? Listen, lady, I don't have time for your interruptions. Need help, assistance, speak to the shopkeeper. Goodbye. I have some questions about a passport you made. I don't know what you're talking about. I do not make passports. That's against the law, madame. Mr. Preston Radcliffe begs to differ. Where'd you get that? Off a body near the IFS Zephyr. I need some information about him. Who was this man, anyhow? You're not the only person who's been asking questions. Who else has been here? A couple of thugs came right after the Zephyr left Caledon. They wanted information about him. When I refused to talk, they decided to need a little encouragement. I don't know who they were. What did you tell them? I told him he made a passport. He chose the name Preston Radcliffe as a name, a gnome from Toronto. I also informed him that they were too late. He had just departed on the Zephyr, and there was nothing they could do about it. So I thought. What did they do? They were insistent that I give them information on how to get to the Zephyr. I laughed bitterly and told them they were out of their minds. Crazy old Maxim had built the Zephyr in his factory outside of town, and it was a one-of-a-kind beast. You told him where the factory was. I thought nothing of it. Everyone knew where Maxim's factory was. It was that very night that it was burned to the ground. That's all I know. Thank you. You've been most helpful. Okay. So. There is that. Also, I guess we're heading back to Roseboro because, remember those two fresh graves that I pointed out earlier? Yep, needed to go dig those up. My bad. I'll see you back over in Roseboro. And we're back in Roseboro at the graveyard. Gravestone reads, "Here lies Philip Misk." Sen Ong, horror among the dark elves. Also, let's see what's over in here. Some money, decent gold ring, and another skull. Nice pocket watch, some more cash, and yet another skull. Nice. Let's see, and you'll get that. You'll hold on to that, and that. Put that there. I'll hold on to that for now. Might have a few more things to do here in... Oh. Yeah, everyone would be asleep by now. Cannot wait in the inn. I guess that makes sense. But there's a few folk I'd like to talk to here at the Roseboro Inn. Hello, how do you do? Hello, sir, what's your name? My name's Trevor Winland. I'm a journalist for the Torontian. The Torontian? What are you doing out here? I'm on assignment. Well, it's not going so well. On assignment? What isn't going so well? Well, it's supposed to be simple. Take a picture. Get back to Toronto as quick as I could. Nothing to it, right? Sounds simple enough. Picture of what? The elusive Leth Wyvern. Ever heard of it? No, what is it? Well, legend describes it as a tremendous dragon. Wings, claws, the whole bit. The difference with the Leth I read is in its attack. A dragon around here? What is the different about its attack? Apparently, every time it strikes, it destroys a bit of its victim's memory. Some sort of venom or something. After enough attacks, the victim can't even remember how to flee, and the Leth gets itself an easy meal. Sounds like it's a pretty dangerous creature. Yeah, from my research, I've surmised very few creatures can ever survive an encounter with that Leth. And those few that do usually don't remember exactly what or for who they escaped from. I certainly don't see anything simple about that assignment. Well, I didn't really believe it. Thought it was all a hoax. And then I came up here because my editor, Mr. Wright, wanted a hot story. Thought if we could get a picture of the wyvern, our sales would boom. Turned out to be a hoax, huh? No, that's just it. I've seen it. Truly horrible beast. I caught the merest glimpse, but that was all it took. It was gigantic. My heart froze. My skin began to crawl. I swear I'd even forgotten which way I should run. That sounds horrible. Did you get your photograph? I couldn't even snap one shot off. I was that terrified. I'm not going back. There's no way I'm going back. What am I to do? Mr. Wright will fire me for certain. You just need a photograph. You don't need to confront it. Yeah, that's correct. I just need one photograph. I can't do it. I can't, I tell you. Not you. Me. What if I were to get you that photograph? You? You would risk yourself for the photograph, that beast? Why would you do that? Well, the adventure for one. Plus, I would be compensated, right? Of course. I'm being paid 500 coin for the shot, but I've spent part of that in supplies already. Wouldn't be able to pay more than 300. 300 coin for risking my mind? I think it's worth more than that. Yes, I definitely agree with you. It's worth more than that. You know, you would be saving my career. I could throw in some of my own coin for that cause. If you do it, I'd pay you the full 500. What do you say? It's a deal. What do I need to do? Here, take my camera. All you need to do is get within visual range of the Leth and use the camera on it. After that, I'd run like the wind. Here, I'll mark the map with the location. One more thing. Heard rumors that an old bridge exists somewhere near that location. I don't have a chance to look into it, but it might be of interest for an adventurer like yourself. Thanks, Trevor. I'll get that photograph for you in no time. All right. So we are off to do some photojournalism. This time with a camera that isn't broken. Yay. Ooh. Minimum strength of 15. Well. I mean, I've currently got 12, but... I guess that's to be expected. And that is the ring. We were told about the ring of Borland, I think? Something like that. Leth Wyvern sighting. It's gonna be a while. Broken cathedral. Interesting. Well, it's day at least. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, that didn't take too much. Let's hope it liked that. Also, you mentioned something about a bridge. Ooh. Huh. Actually can use that to get over to Kintara. Nice. Secret entrance to the Iron Clan. Yeah, we found that in that book, but did mention a few more keys needed. There we go. A cold place. One day we'll actually be able to get through this. There we go. Finally. Hey, Trev. I've got it. I've got it. You got it. Oh my, I'm so excited. Don't know how helpful you are, Ben. Here, let me see the camera. Mr. Wright is going to be so thrilled. Glad I could be of service. Now about my compensation. Oh, yes, here you are. 500 coin as agreed upon. Thank you, Alyssa. Don't know how happy you've made me. Goodbye. Thank you, Trevor. What of the bridge? Did you see any signs of it? I did. Thank you. It'll definitely save me a lot of time. It's wonderful news. I'm sure the existence of that bridge has been lost for years. Surely it'll speed travel. Well, I better get this camera back to Toronto. Let's see. Now, while we're here, there is a lady in red that we might want to have a bit of a word with. Nothing there. Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Ah, you. So... Okay. So, finally, to finish off this, Sin on, up in the glittering pelvis. I dedicate this to my dearest Raven. I would gladly face it again these horrors and 1,000 others for only another moment with you. Dearest reader, it's only with the greatest fear and trepidation I share this harrowing tale with you today. Even here, safe within the confines of my own home, I'm still overcome with dread at the thought of what I'm about to tell you, what it might mean for me or those close to me. Yet I feel compelled to do so, and the great muse guides my pen to this paper, with the words flow forth from the darkest region of my heart and mind, where they have stayed well hidden until this very evening. I beg of you, give my ear to my confession. If it pleases you, take this tale from me and return only your belief and trust, for what you are about to hear is only nothing but the truth. My name is Renford Wicker, born of the outlying region of Ashbury, not far from the lair of Belgarim, where they found the bones of the great dragon. My childhood was a bright one, full of happiness and light, and my parents gave to me all that a child's mighty need. I was schooled in both practicality and excellency, and when my 18th year came round, I was accepted into Toronto University, and ultimately found my way into the Torontian Zoological Society. Archaeology was my first love, but my first assignment with the society, with the cultural or anthropology department, it was somewhat of a farce actually, but the society had given an enormous grant by one of the Toronto's leading philanthropists for a very specific purpose. That purpose was to confirm the existence of the Dark Elves. Every man, woman, and child in Arcanum is raised on the ghost stories and bedtime tales of these strange people known only as the Dark Elves. To the anthropologists, they are a proverbial oasis in the desert. Proof of their existence has always been literally disappeared into the air. No man has ever set eyes upon them. Not one shred of physical evidence has ever been found to establish they were real. Myths and legends were plentiful, but for the inerrant scientists, these mean less than nothing. What was needed was undeniable evidence, and I set out on this adventure with my determination and confidence in my ability to bring forth just that. Had I known what lay ahead, I would have forsworn both anthropology and philanthropy, and returned to work as a day laborer in the Ashbury shipyards. Better the back-breaking work than nightmares I face every night. Before leaving Toronto, I employed the services of a certain Jean Benel, an elven tracker who was recommended to me by the noble Mr. Quentin Payne, famed explorer and gentleman in every sense of the word. Jean Benel had been born in the Glimmering Forest, and it was said there wasn't a more knowledgeable man about the deep elven groves than this side of Stonewall Mountains. His fees were less than reasonable, but had been given enormous liberty in spending the allotted funds. It was my honest opinion that Mr. Benel was crucial in the success of this mission. I couldn't have been more than correct. Within weeks we were well within the deepest yet uncharted regions of the western Glimmering. Never once did the unflappable Mr. Benel look to his compass or consult a map. Occasionally he would stand for a moment within a clearing or beneath a great tree, head cocked, eyes closed. But aside from these infrequent moments of meditation, it was all we could do to keep up with him. Upon the 42nd day of our journey, we came to a great meadow, seemingly alive with a multitude of birds and butterflies that flew about it. Crossing the fragrant and lively field was one of the most vivid moments I had experienced in this journey so far. I was so enthralled by the scene around me that I almost missed the most spectacular vision given to the eyes of mortal man. Kintara, the great elven tree city, lay within the towering trees at the end of the clearing, hanging like a cut jewel in the crown of a king. The mother tree, almost 400 feet tall, housed the intricacies carved Hall of Truth, which shone white and smooth in the noonday sun. Impossibly thin walkways wove in and out of the boughs of the great tree, not taking away from its natural beauty, but adding to it, as if the city were merely a convenient and beautiful tangle of leaves and branches, tattooed with the flowing runes and symbol of an ancient elven tongue. And among these graceful and lithe forms of the elves, singing their beautiful songs, and looking down upon the ragtag group of men with curiosity and amusement. Of Kintara I can say only this: the month I spent there was the best in my life. I had learned much less about the Dark Elves than I would have liked, but almost nothing at all, really. but the moments I spent there were strange and wonderful and breathtaking. I would not do them a disservice in attempting to put them into words. Suffice to say, I learned there as young a man which often takes others a lifetime, and to my teacher I give heartfelt thanks and warmest greetings. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think of you. When we left the trees of Kintara with little more than faint whispers about the Dark Elves and where they might be found, the Elves of Kintara were very reluctant to speak of them. They begged us to forget such foolishness and go home to Toronto. I, of course, would hear no such thing as we traveled on. North this time, as Mr. Bilal believed he had uncovered a clue to their whereabouts during his investigations while in Kintara, and he discovered a name, Sen'ang, home of the Dark Elves. We traveled for 17 more days, exhausting our supplies and sending most of the party back to Toronto. The forest had become thicker and more brambly, and it seemed like many of the trees were adorned with thorns, some more than a foot long. Another week, and it was only Mr. Banal and myself. We had agreed to return before the first of the month if we failed to find any further evidence of the Dark Elves' existence. That gave us 6 days to find Sen'ang, and we pressed on despite our anxiety and fatigue. On the day before we had planned to return, the weather took a vicious turn. From out of the north came dark thunderheads, and lightning flew from the sky like barbed lances of white fire. It began to rain, and we found an uneasy shelter beneath the massive roots of one of the great trees, which seemed poised over us like a giant and grotesquely gnarled hand. I was shivering, not altogether from the cold rain. Weird shadows played against the trunk of the trees as the storm strengthened and the lightning became more frequent. Thunder tore the sky and above our heads. I looked to Mr. Banal for the first time since we left Toronto. I saw fear reflected in his eyes. Can't say the first moment I became aware of them, but one moment when looking out through the rain, I began to notice shadows had stayed even after the lightning had subsided. Those shadows became the phantoms. The phantoms, something worse. They were stock still, tall and wiry, ghostly, the faces of color of ivory with eyes of the blackest night. Their hair hung in limp strands against their foreheads and cheeks. They stood unblinking, oblivious to the storm and its ragings. Banal screamed something to my right, and then was pulled bodily from out of our shelter to the roots above. He screamed once more, and then was silent. I never heard from him nor saw him again. I ran headlong past the elves in front of me, swinging blindly to clear a path. I was mad with fear, and my feet carried me deeper into the forest. Thought I heard dark and twisted laughter above and behind me. Shadowy figures darted to the trees to my left and right. Thorns tore at my arms and legs. I stumbled among the stones and the underbrush, screaming incoherently. More than once, great elven arrows sunk into the trees around me, grazing my skin as they flew by. They were playing with me, enjoying the hunt, waiting for just the right moment. My head was light from exhaustion and blood loss, and I fell to my knees, gasping for air. When I looked up, I saw it. There in the trees above me was Sen'ang, home of the Dark Elves. Unlike Kintara, Sen'ang was an abomination, slouched in its branches like a great beast waiting for its prey. There were sputtering fires all along its battlements, and great spikes protruded from every surface like dragon spines. I saw robed figures, gaunt and terrible, lined among its walkways, looking down upon me, beckoning, it seemed, for me to join them. Screamed again, and the figures seemed to raise their voices in unison, a terrible call without sound or meaning, but I heard them nonetheless. They were cursing me. They were welcoming me. In moments I was surrounded again by my pursuers, through the downpour I saw them unsheathe daggers, their ghostish smiles floating towards me as the thunder roared above. I closed my eyes, praying to whatever God would hear me. There was nothing else I could do. And then from nowhere, arrows flying from behind me and above me. In moments I was encircled completely by half-buried shafts of thickest hunting arrows. The dark elves around me whirled to and fro in confusion. One pulled his bow from his back and notched an arrow in one flowing moment, but was shot through the heart before he raised it past his shoulders. He fell silently, unbelievingly. The others looked at me for a moment, the purest hatred harbored in their eyes, and then disappeared into the night, hands conspicuously at their sides. Amazed and spent, I fainted. I woke some days later, many miles from the northern reaches of the Glimmering. I was alone, but my wounds had been treated and my supplies had been replenished. I was back in Toronto not 2 weeks later. I never met my rescuers, but I can guess who they were and where they were from. I thank them if they are reading this. Without their aid, I surely would have died there in the shadow of Sun Ong. And so, dear friends, I beg of you, those who believe these words, and to the man who has told them to you, I only to share this burden with others, to gain comfort among those of my kind. At the very least, let these words stand to you as warning to you. Often evil is a tangible thing, and sometimes it's a people, a place, such as the Dark Elves, such as the hell they call their home. I have never returned to the Glimmering Forest, and I pray that I never do. Some things are better left alone. Well, I guess when we come back, we're heading to Sin Ong. Have a good one, folks.